All right, now obviously some people are happy. Like, let's be real. But the reason why like a lot of people aren't happy, right? So my friend was actually talking about this earlier and stuff like that. Like he was asking questions about like how people accomplish all these things and get all these things, but they're still not happy. And it's like, well, yeah, like when people can't even really answer like who they are, why they think they're here, what's their purpose. It kind of gets hard to become happy. And like at first he didn't understand the depth of that, but I started to ask him. I'm like, how would you even define yourself? I'm like, who are you? And he was like, I'm a good person, da 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 da. So I was like, okay, you identify as being a good person, and I'm like, is everybody a good person? And he's like, no. So I'm like, you think that inherently at the root, you and everybody else are different? And he said, yes. I'm like, okay, well, you think you're a good person. How's that account for the bad stuff that you do? And he's like, yeah, yeah, true. I'm like, so who says what are you? Then he said, a good and a bad person. Then I'm like, is everybody else a good and a bad person? Then he said, yeah, true. And it's like, and he wasn't getting my point because I'm like, everybody may not be a good and a bad person. Some may be purely good, some may be purely bad. You feel me? Obviously, that's not like the average person, but there's some who should. You get what I'm saying. My whole entire point was though, like, you see how he couldn't really answer the question for real. He just bounced around and stuff like that, and he started to realize that also, and the conversation kind of just started to end from there. It kind of switched to a new topic because when it gets too deep, people can't handle that kind of depth and stuff like that. But it's like, I am gonna fully say that because he's not the kind of guy. I mean, because the way I was doing it, I wasn't really offering an answer of what we are. Kind of just, I was just questioning and doing a lot of questioning. So it gets to a certain point where you're like, you know, you kind of do stop thinking about it. But if I just gave him the answer and started to explain, just like being forceful, I know for a fact he would have listened and stuff like that. But anyway, that's not the point. My point is the fact that there's a lot of questions that people can't answer to themselves, and it's like, without these kind of questions, if you don't even know who the freak you are, then it's like, how can you make yourself happy if you don't even know who slash what you are, and what you really desire and what you really crave, Like, and what you think you crave may not even be what you really crave, because it's like, let's say your body craves something, right? Do you identify as the body? And it's like, if you do, then it's like, hey, but it's like, is that really you? And this is a whole bunch of questions, and it's stuff, and it's just is yeah, So the reason people aren't happy is because, yeah, you could get whatever you want and do all these things, but ultimately it's like there's certain things that we want to know within inside of ourselves, that when we don't focus on it and answer it, we don't really become happy, because like when you don't know who you truly are, right, you don't really act out of your truest self. Therefore, you could be acting out of false beliefs and ideas that you picked up either because they got pushed on you, or just because you just thought about them and really thought they were true and stuff like that. Like, for example, if my friend thought he was a good person all the time, right, then when he did something bad, it would really hurt, because that contradicts his character and stuff like that. But if he identifies as a good and a bad person, that it doesn't hurt as much. But if he has the awareness of himself beyond the person, then it's gonna get weird, because it's like, they're not even a person anymore. But yeah, so it's like, we gotta find out a lot of these questions. Like, why do we think that we're here? What's our purpose on this earth? Do we have a purpose? And when we don't have a purpose, it kind of does feel like kind of sad and stuff like that. So like, do we give life a purpose? Like, like, we gotta find out the answers to these questions, and then we'll start actually experiencing more true happiness.